This morning's qualifying session for USF Pro 2000 was a wild one. USF 2000 were on track first. It was wet, but things were drying throughout the session. Many drivers holding in for USF Pro 2000 with those dry tires, others going out on the rains. Drivers at the end, though, started to pick things up. Everybody ended up going on slicks, and it was Kiko Porto who stepped things up for race number one of the doubleheader. Kiko, that was a wild qualifying session. So many guys going to the top. Did you know that you had the car, or was it kind of a surprise at the end?
Bro, was kind of both. So we started the qualifying with the wet tires. I think was the right thing to do because it was super wet on the beginning and too risky to go with slicks and maybe get a crash or something like this. So we started in the wet, but then I saw some part of the track getting drier, and then we decided with the team to put the dry tires. But then another risky thing that we did, we wait 2 laps more in the pit with the dry set because we knew it was going to be difficult, but we knew also that extra life on these new tires on the last laps going to be make the difference, you know? And that's the right thing, and we did the best lap on the last lap, basically. So I think it was too risky what we did to wait because it takes longer to get the temperature because of the water, because the track is half of the track dry and half of the track wet. So was very risky, but we did it, so very happy with this.
Risky but successful. The track temp was only about 72 degrees at that point. Jack William Miller had gone to P1. It was the final lap flyer, last guy to come across the line. Kiko Porto drops it down. How important is qualifying on pole here at this racetrack? We know it's a long straightaway from the green flag you could get drafted by, but starting up front still crucial.
I mean, obviously here we have a big straight, and this can cause some problems because of the draft the guys behind. But if you start in the pole, the worst scenario, you're gonna lose some spot, but still on the front, you know. And the important thing in the championship is points. So obviously we're gonna go to the win. I think the team gonna give me a car that I need to fight for the win. But let's think about the championship. That's the most important thing.
People talk, Kiko, about how awesome this racetrack is, how special it is to be at Indianapolis. How is it for you as a Brazilian driver? So much great Brazilian success here at Indianapolis. How about for you?
Every time when I come here, it's just magic, you know. We don't get tired of this place. The track is awesome. The atmosphere is awesome. The people that work here, you feel the passion of race in every street of Indianapolis. So it's a pleasure to race here.
One of the things to watch for throughout this race, folks, we know how competitive it is in this USF Pro 2000 Championship. 20 drivers here of the biggest field we've had in many, many years at the very top rung of the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires. 2 of the longest straightaways all year long, Kiko, with the downforce on these cars. The draft is going to be a huge run. You get that run to 4-5 to get down to 6 and then to 7. And then, of course, the front straightaway. You really can use the draft. How are you going to play with that?
So, I'm planning to be aware behind me, but I also think that the draft can be a thing that can help me because a guy in 3rd, 4th can fight with the 2nd place. So it's kind of tricky. The first laps I will need to really focus to warm more the tires than the other guys, but then it's gonna come back to a point that everyone's gonna get a draft besides if I'm staying in the first, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not easy, but the best thing to do is to warm the tires the fastest possible and try to open a gap on the first laps.
So much strategy at play for the drivers, so much, of course, for the mechanics and engineers as well. All 20 of these drivers set to go racing. The first race of the doubleheader here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on this fantastic road course. After this break, we'll come up, and I'll give you the grid.
First 2. Like these Cooper rugged tracks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Indianapolis Motor Speedway with USF 2000. It's time for the pro drivers to get out here. My name is Rob Howden, joined in the booth by Alan Bestwick, one of the voices here of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We have our driver analyst as well, USF 2000 driver Al Morey IV joining me. Alan, a good opportunity to see. You guys just finished calling an Indy Next qualifying session. These are the drivers you'll be calling in 2024 and 2025.
Yeah, you look at the list of even the NTT IndyCar Series drivers here this weekend at the Speedway. It's littered with people who've come up through the road to Indy, including from this series on their way through.
Indeed, we've been very lucky to have drivers like Colton Hurd, Pato O'Ward, Renus VK. You keep going through the field, Felix Rosenquist. Just so many drivers have come through this ladder system in the different iterations it's been. We've had Star Mazda back in the day, the Z-Tech, Cooper Tires Z-Tech series. There's been so many names for the programs, but the horsepower and the kind of technological levels on the way up have been very, very similar. We're still about 5 minutes away. Drivers have worked their way onto the grid area here. 20 drivers, the biggest field at this level we've had since 2013, 10 years ago. So great to have this many drivers here at USF Pro 2000. Last year, this was Indy Pro 2000. Many years ago, Pro Mazda. And again, as we said, the top level of this USF Pro Championships, all drivers getting developed to move into the Indy Next Series. Let's have a look at the grid. I'll say all drivers getting developed. Not the one driver here starting 20th, 58 years of age. The Fat Boy Racing driver himself, Charles Finelli, coming back out in the number 83. Good to have Charles back out here with us again. An absolute sportsman, loves getting an opportunity to race with these young guns and, of course, at these iconic tracks as well. So Charles Finelli in the 83 starting in the 20th spot. Inside of that row, some trouble in qualifying, but watch for Yuvan Sundaramurthy to work his way forward in the number 90. He has had multiple podium finishes here in USF 2000 during his career. I think that number 90 for Exclusive Autosport will be a driver to watch today. Row number 9 starting on the outside, the young lady who made her debut here in the USF Pro Championships last year in the C4 Smart Energy Drink Machine. That is Lindsay Brewer in the 93 for Exclusive Autosport. Very quick times last year at a top 10 finish as well. She'll start 18th in the number 93. Again, a very tough qualifying session. Remember, it was wet at the start and it eventually got dry at the end, so some teams nailed the setup, others did not. So kind of a little bit of a jumbled up qualifying order. Inside of row number 8, or rather 9, will be the number 19 of Jordan Missig from Pabst Racing, the Illinois driver, starting in the 17th position. Multiple top 10 finishes on the years thus far for Jordan Missig. Moving to row number 8, starting 16th, a new team here for 2023. That is Neotech, and it's the driver Nicolas Monteiro, the Brazilian, in the number 81, starting in the 16th spot. Inside of that row, another driver who won here last year on this road course weekend, Salvador de Alba for Exclusive Autosport, splits his time with the NASCAR Mexico Series, the program down there, then comes up here and jumps into the very nimble USF Pro 2000 car, the number 91 De Alba, starting 15th. Definitely a driver who could move his way forward. Row 7, number 32 on the outside, that's Christian Weir for TJ Speed, one of the new drivers, rookie driver in the program, and another driver on the inside who we had here in the booth earlier today, one of the championship contenders last year in USF 2000 from Scottsdale, Arizona. Jace Denmark for Pabst Racing in the number 20 tells me he wants to get the hard charger. Watch for him working his way forward from P13. Row number 6 now on the outside, the Mexican driver Ricardo Escoto in the number 4 for J. Howard Driver Development. He'll start outside of row 6. And on the inside from Sweden, great speed yesterday during the test sessions, Joel Grandforce for Exclusive Autosport in the number 92 Corbeil machine with an opportunity to move his way into the top 5 as well. One driver to definitely watch in the number 99, your point leader coming in. The qualifying did not go well. He's been on the podium in all 4 races. 3 wins in a row for the Force Indy Pabst Racing driver Miles Rowe in the number 99. He's going to start on the outside of row number 5. So work to be done for the driver in New York. Keep an eye on Miles Rowe in the 99. Alongside him from Avon, Indiana, this is the home race for Jackson Lee for Turn 3 Motorsports. Lee in the number 47. Great run throughout the day yesterday. And in fact, a good qualifying run for Jackson, the 47, starting P9. We'll go now to row number 4. An American driver has been racing overseas for the last couple of years. Reese Ushijima for J. Howard Driver Development in the number 6. He'll start in the 8th position. Inside, Bejoy Garg, the Californian, in the number 7, starting at 7th. We'll move now into row number 3 on the outside. Top Irish Formula 4 driver, second year here in the USF Pro 2000 category. Jonathan Brown in the number 2 for Turn 3 Motorsports. He's going to launch from the outside of row number 3. And on the inside will be that number 10 machine out of Germany. That's Liram Zendelli. Zendelli for TJ Speed, starting in the 5th spot. working our way up now to row number 2, closer to the front of the order here as we're ready to roll things up. We've got Michael D'Orlando, your USF 2000 champion, starting on the outside in the number 1, and on the inside, Francesco Pizzi, the Italian, in the number 55. Front row, though, Jack William Miller, the local driver out of Indiana here in Indianapolis, trying to get a big win in the red number 40. He'll start alongside the former USF 2000 champion, Kiko Porto, in the number 12. Field now set, folks. Time to get things underway. And to join us for the command to fire engines, guests from the IndyCar ministry. It's 3 generations for you, folks. Ryan Knowles and his father Skip, as well as Ryan's children's Leela and Mila. Guys, let's go. Let's fire these engines.
Driver, start your engines!
And away we go. Firing things up against 3 generations of Knowles, helping us get things going. Of course, the IndyCar Ministry, fantastic program that is funded through donations from the paddock, from race fans as well. They had a program where they had some suites up for sale. They were able to come in here. The Knowles family, they donated and were able to get into one of the suites, and again, getting an opportunity to give the command to fire engines. That's a pretty cool deal. Alan, we get them doing it up here on the podium as well. Nothing like giving the command at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Thrill they'll always remember, for sure. And chance and ground that few get to stand on, for sure, over the course of their lifetime.
Speaking about a thrill as well, joining me here in the booth, having run his first ever race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a racer from the area here in Indianapolis, Al Morey the fourth. Let's just start with how things went for you. Your first race here, chaos at USF 2000, but you bring home a top 10. You got to be pumped.
Yeah, honestly, for the first race here, our goal this whole weekend was get a top 10 in front of the people at home, right? So qualifying this morning was not anything that we hoped it would be. In the wet, I had some difficulties and was unable to finish the qualifying session. So we came in with a mindset of we're going to make up as much as we possibly can and make this into a good race and set up really for tomorrow as well. And we were able to do that quite well. So
I was really proud of you and happy for you, man, to get that top 10. We got a chaotic start here. You know, it goes like 2, 3, maybe 4 wide into turn number 1. You were kind of right in the middle of it there. What was turn 1 like, being where you were on the racetrack, guys 4 wide in front of you?
Well, to be honest, I see them. I go into turn 1. There's, I think, like a 3 or 4 car pileup I see on the inside. And I'm on the outside of the corner, so they all went then to the outside. So I actually took the runoff to avoid all of that. Because I didn't want to collect myself in the first lap,
idea,
right?
Yeah.
So that was super clean, and from there, I just kept my head down. I was like, okay, all that's behind me now. It's time to focus on the race at hand.
I think that's the thing, Alan, too, to be able to get through that opening lap, right? To get it behind you, just go racing again.
Right, turn 1, turn 7, the places where if it's going to accordion or if people are going to be extra brave, that's where it's going to be, right? So survive it and then race.
Exactly, that's what Al was able to do. We'll come to Al throughout the race here with some input. Of course, other than, obviously Al and I have not been out there today, so I think you will be our expert if something's going to happen on the racetrack. Drivers are working their way through that turn number 7 where we saw some action in USF 2000. A contact there between Max Garcia, Elliot Cox. I posted up on social media, actually, the whole rubber right on the top of the halo for Elliot Cox. He was fine, not even a mark on the helmet. So the halo, which we added to these cars back in 2022, Alan, most certainly doing their job.
Safety always advancing forward, and you never know how important it is until you see something like that.
Indeed, right? How many years have we run without the halo?
Right.
But to be able to have that one, definitely, no doubt about it, Elliot Cox probably would have had some level of injury with the contact that happened, just the way the car was coming across. But again, we are set to go with the next level up. USF Pro 2000, the Discount Tire Grand Prix of Indianapolis, the first of 2 races for these drivers here today. They'll be back on the racetrack again tomorrow, lining things up with Kiko Porto, no stranger to being up front, the USF 2000 champion from a couple of years ago, runs with D-Force Racing, a very powerful team out of Texas. So it's D-Force on the inside, Jack William Miller and that Miller Vinatieri Motorsports local team on the outside. This is a big one for Jack William Miller. How will things roll out as they head down in to turn number 1? 2 by 2, a massive field of 20 drivers, the biggest field we've had at this level for many, many years, and a nice, slow, crawling start for Kiko Porto. Get ready to punch off. Porto's going to go deep into the start zone. I like this as well. He knows how much of a run you can get, and he leaves early. Looks to be a good start as well, though, for Jack William Miller. He may actually lead into turn number 1. couple of drivers. There's Miles Rowe looking down the inside as well. 3 wides. They come into the braking zone, make it 4, almost 5 wide. And Porto able to get back down to the inside. I thought Miller might have been able to go for it. One driver taking the escape route there and working his way on the outside of that corner. We'll see who that is. But again, otherwise, settling in for the start, it's Kiko Porto, your leader. Looked to me like Jack William Miller into second and out, and I think Michael D'Orlando goes to P3.
It's a big scramble, but so far everybody got through cleanly. Even though the one took the escape road, everybody through cleanly. Now the next accordion moment as they charge down the straightaway to turn 7.
Yeah, 7, another long straightaway down Holman Boulevard. Hard braking, that left-handed leads in that 7, 8, 9, 10 complex. There's side-by-side action further back. That might be Pizzi or Zendelli going after the 40 of Jack William Miller. So some early action, and they are pushing there pretty aggressively. Actually, a little further back, that could be potentially Grand Force up into there as well, but we'll restack them when they come back around. But nonetheless, the pole sitter, at least for the first half of the race, Lap Allen, has been able to hold that spot.
Kiko Porto challenged a couple of times right on the initial start, turn 1, and then again at turn 7, but managing to hold off Jack William Miller. And here they come now off of turn number 12 onto the main straightaway to complete lap 1.
One of the keys, of course, for Porto is the simple fact that D'Orlando putting a lot of pressure on Miller from behind. So he's thinking about the guy behind him as opposed to the one in front of him. And indeed, I mentioned it was Grand Force. What a good start for Joel Grand Force. Started back in 11th. He finds himself P5 at the end of the opening lap. And here comes the move to the inside. Book it. Down the inside. D'Orlando goes to second. Another driver taking the escape route coming into 1. But Alan, that's the textbook pass to the inside of turn number 1. Own that apex, own the exit.
The draft on these cars down the straightaway, is it yellow for debris on the course?
All right, some contact in the opening lap. It's dropped some debris onto the racetrack. We are full course yellow. But let's go back to that comment now that we have an opportunity to talk about the draft a little bit. Let's bring Al Morey in here. Al, let's talk about the draft in USF 2000, because if you have a draft, Alan, there's no doubt about it, they have more draft in USF Pro 2000. How much does it come into play for the guys in USF 2000?
Certainly at a track like this, you can talk about it massively, because you come out of turn 13 there into 14, you get all of this straightaway that you have the draft. So you can really be about 5 car lengths back coming out of turn 14 and still make a move into turn 1 if you have a good run.
Indeed.
So I think in these cars, I think the draft would be incredible. I haven't driven one, but
because they have more of everything.
More of everything. Yeah, more air, more horsepower. We've talked about that. Al, you brought it up. Turn 13 is the crucial corner, right? If you can't get that car rotated into turn 13, that's when you're on the throttle. You're holding that throttle all the way down to 1.
Right. So if you mess up that corner, say you get a little wheel spin or you cut the corner a little tight and run a bit wide, then you're really just inviting yourself to be overtaken into 1, because people are going to see that behind you, right? So they instantly see, oh, he's made a mistake. I'm going to get as close as I can into 1. Then whoever has made that mistake is going to try to defend into 1, knowing they've made that mistake.
And Al, you know, when you defend into turn number 1 here, it stops your exit. It brings everybody back into play.
Yeah, it sure does. So the pace car you see picking up the field, the reason for the caution is debris over in turn 4 in a bad spot. So now that leads us to say, okay, let's have a look at these cars as they come by and see who suffered the damage and what it might be from.
Bejoy Garg, driver into pit lane in the number 7 for D-Force Racing. So we'll figure what happened here for Bejoy, front wing.
Front wing.
There you go. We did see a number of drivers that shortcut around turn 5 and 6, went to the inside of the turn 5 chicane and not actually making the full chicane. I'm not sure what will happen in terms of the race control on that. Normally, you've got to get yourself back into position or lose a spot. So we'll see how that all plays out. But we will re-rack them. Kiko Porto as the leader, Michael D'Orlando in the second spot.
They will go green this time. Lights are out on the pace car, so they'll come to the restart, quickly able to pick up the debris out of turn 4, and we'll have a restart coming right here.
Perfect, indeed. Again, a 25-lapper, 50-minute window for the drivers here in USF Pro 2000. Kiko Porto with the lead. Michael D'Orlando slotting into second. That great move we saw to the inside of Jack William Miller to get the spot. Liram Zendelli got up a couple positions as well. He moves his way up the 1 spot from the start to 4th. Joel Grand Force up 6. Great job for him. 11th up into 5th. Francesco Pizzi in 6th spot. Ushijima 7th. Brown, Rowe, and Escoto round out your top 10. Still full course yellow.
Yeah, just waved off the restart. Will not go, so it'll be another lap as they want to make sure they have everybody in the right order for the restart. And Al, let's talk about the restart. The initial start came down really slow. Now you're in single file and you're in a restart behind somebody, and you need to execute that restart pretty well, don't you?
Yeah, because everyone's so packed up, and say you miss the acceleration from the guy in front of you, but the guy behind you nails it, then he's got to run all the way down into turn 1, and so does the guy behind him, who also may have had a very good start. So then you're potentially getting attacked by 2 or 3 cars into turn 1 instead of attacking yourself.
You know, one of the interesting things, Alan, about our paddock, and we'll come to Al on this, is we have a lot of other drivers who have spent time in IndyCar with us. You know, you go to D-Force Racing, and Matthias Leist, who of course ran with AJ Foyt Racing, won a lot of wins in the Indy Next Series as well. We've got a number of people in this paddock that have spent time, of course, in IndyCar. You run for Jay Howard Driver Development. Jay Howard, as we know, a former Indy Lights champion. He's run the 500 a bunch. To work with a guy like Jay, who knows what Indianapolis is all about, how much does that help you prepare you for coming into a race like this?
I mean, without him, I couldn't do it, to be honest with you. He has so much experience in all of what we do, and everything that he's done in the past helps us learn as well. So we come in here with all of Jay's knowledge to help ourselves, and then just having him as a mentor to always be there for us and help us out for whatever it may be on track is huge for me and my teammates.
And it's funny, you're obviously at USF 2000. He was also a Cooper Tire Z-Tech F2000 champion back in the day, so he's obviously driven those cars as well. We'll come back to Al Moore the fourth for Jay Howard Driver Development joining us here. Again, great to have a local driver with a solid top 10 finish in the opening of 3 races for USF 2000. Exclusive Autosport with the 2 drivers moving forward the most. They did not have the best of luck in qualifying, but Yuven Sunder up 6 spots from 19th into 13th, and the number 92, I've talked about Joel Graham for us already, started P11. He's up into the 5th position. So those 2 exclusive Autosport drivers getting some quick moves early in the first couple of laps. And again, Alan, when you can make up spots early in the chaos, then you get that yellow. All of a sudden, it resets everything for you. You just start from again. It's when you make those spots, you almost want that yellow to kind of set everything, bring everybody back up close to you again.
It's going to be. You got away with it on the start, right? Especially if you're the leader. Okay, you got challenged twice, you got away with it. Now they brought everybody back to you, and you've got to do it again to maintain control in the race. But for everybody behind that leader, it's like, okay, you mentioned, okay, up 6 spots. Okay, good. Breath. Now let's go get some more.
That's it. Yep, press the reset. And the crazy thing, we mentioned about this in the USF 2000 category, especially with the lower horsepower cars here on the ladder system, with all the draft we have, and Al, you can talk about this too. On a restart, there's an opportunity for, even though you're the leader on the restart and you get a good restart, it doesn't take much. It's such a long run from the start line down to turn 1. You could easily get drafted down into turn number 1.
Oh, of course. I think even we saw that a bit at the start. Jack was able to get alongside there going into turn 1, and then he got past then going back into turn 1. So it's very easy, I think, to be overtaken from the draft here on a restart or a regular start, no matter if you're just racing. I think the draft is powerful here.
It's such different strategy too. It is very, very powerful. We still have that full course yellow out right now. 3 laps in the books. Lap number 4 will get recorded when we come back around again. A 25 lapper for the drivers here in USF Pro 2000. Another race for them tomorrow morning.
There's something that the officials are reviewing, and I only caught part of the message on the radio, and I apologize for only delivering partial information. But there's something that the officials are reviewing before they send us back green, and so that's the added caution here before we get going in just a minute.
Very interesting for sure. Some stuff getting dialed in here. We'll try to find out exactly what that might be. You know, I think what it may have been would not surprise me, as I talked about the fact that down into turn number 5 and 6, Al, we had a couple of guys that cut the inside of the racetrack on that opening lap and potentially gained spots. They would normally, because we went right to yellow flag, they would normally be told by race control to give up 1 or 2 positions. They did not make the full 5-6 chicane, so they're obviously going over video saying, hey, you made moves up, you've got to go back a couple of spots.
And the field has just been given the signal that it is 1 to go now, and so they will get the green flag when they come back next time by. And, you know, for these drivers, in the meantime, the clock is ticking, and the mental reset. Okay, we're coming to green, it's waved off. Okay, the reset, Al, of getting yourself ready for taking advantage of the restart. It's got to be a process you go through.
It is. Something I do to try to relieve some of that stress you talk about is I treat every lap as though we're going to go green. Be ready every single time so that I'm never caught off guard when they say, okay, the safety car's in, we're going. I'm always ready. I'm always close to the guy in front, and just ready to go. And I think that relieves a lot of the stress you're talking about.
Yeah, preparation, I think it's a great call, because a lot of drivers, you could be just kind of hanging around a bit. They jump ahead of you, all of a sudden they go green, and you've lost 4, 5, 6 car lengths that you've got to dig at to get for the next couple of laps. I like that. It's a really, really good approach. So be ready anytime, because again, what we do, Alan, is we do our best to give these drivers green flag laps. So if we can go back to the green at any time, we're doing it. Even if they're coming out of turn 11, 10, 11, hey guys, we're ready to go, so we're going to go. And they're in communication with all the drivers, of course.
So NTT IndyCar Series teams might have 2 spotters, maybe more, around a course like this. How many people communicating with one of these drivers in this race?
Pretty much one. There'll be one guy, and not everybody will have some. They'll have just guys on the potentially on pit wall. Some drivers will have guys or spotters up in certain areas of the track, but definitely not 2 like they have, of course, in the NTT IndyCar Series, as you said. Kiko Porto, as I said before, no stranger to starting races up front, a former USF 2000 champion. So you watched how he started very slow. He likes to do that slow start as opposed to punching off, coming out of turn number 13 or 14 like some drivers who are getting that big jump. But when you do that, the minute you start getting yourself up to speed and you're almost at terminal velocity where you're passing start finish, you really set up for that draft unless you've got that really good jump.
All right, pace car is off, and Kiko Porto leads the field now through the final couple of corners, getting ready to spill back out onto the main straightaway and look to the starter stand for the green flag and the restart.
Kiko Porto this time using all of that right pedal down on the gas, and he is rolling. Big run though for Michael D'Orlando, last year's USF 2000 champion. This is 2 USF 2000 champions battling it out. Big move to the outside coming for D'Orlando. He looks to try to go over under, not quite. Everybody else stacking up behind him. The 2 TJ speed cars side by side in Zendelli and Pizzi. Pizzi may have made a move to the inside of Grand Force there. Otherwise, a pretty clean run through turn 1 and 2.
Jack William Miller had to defend for his position, managed to hang on to the spot now and stays in 3rd place as they exit turn 5 and 6 and streak down the straightaway toward turn 7.
Everybody cleanly through that chicane, back down Holman Boulevard. Turn 7, we saw a lot of action there. A little bit of a defense to the inside, so you can tell right now that Kiko Porto kind of running that defensive line. He knows how good D'Orlando is here out of the gates and is putting the pressure on. Right there as well is Jack William Miller up to P3, so he knows he had the speed, even in the kind of little odd session we had this morning, which was wet and got to dry. He still has the outright pace. Didn't have it that much yesterday during testing, so really kind of punching above his weight class right now. I think probably buoyed by the opportunity to race at home, but Miller having a good strong run in 3rd. Zendelli was 4th. And I believe indeed Pizzi, I think, getting by Grand Force. So the 2 TJ speed cars, those white cars, number 10 and number 55, now 4th and 5th as they streak across the line. Here's a big run. Wait till you pick this one up here on the screen. You're going to see a huge run for D'Orlando, side by side. D'Orlando on the outside. He wants to do the big outside run. And you can see the alteration there for Porto as well. He came back around. D'Orlando putting a ton of pressure on right now. There's some good battles throughout the field. One driver goes off further back. That could have been Denmark or might have been Jordan Missing. I think it was one of the Cape cars. I think it was Jordan Missing in the 19. And listen, so you can do that there. You're pushing so hard.
There's another one missing turn number 5 to the inside to keep from having any side-by-side contact with someone through the left-right shuffle. Here's again a defensive line into turn number 7 for Porto as he holds off D'Orlando. And they work their way now through 8, 9, and 10.
Miles Rowe, if you look a little further back, Miles Rowe going to work, trying to find a way by Grand Force, and he'll tuck it to the inside at turn number 10. Good pass there for Miles Rowe. That's going to move him to 6th. Remember, he started back in the 10th position. That's your point leader coming in, Alan. He had a 42-point lead, 3 straight wins for Miles Rowe. So maybe a little bit of breathing room, right? He doesn't need to get too crazy. Anything in the top 10, top 5 is going to be strong, although Kiko Porto, the guy who's leading right now, is actually the guy who's 2nd place in points.
And yet, though, there's still an urgency for Rowe, right? It's not a long race. It's a long race, but it's not a long race, and you got to start knocking these positions off pretty steadily if you're going to get from there to the front. Rowe, with his worst finish this year of 3rd, is up to 7th spot now as they break for turn 1.
Joel Granford is able to get back by, but you can see behind the top 3, they are slicing and dicing. The 2 TJ speed drivers going at each other. Granford was able to get back around again. Here's your top 3 coming through turn number 3 to 4. And indeed, look at this scrap, because the guys behind Granford are starting to get a little bit impatient. Rowe, Brown, Ushijima, and Denmark right there as well. as this is a tremendous battle. Jordan Missing has pulled to 19 behind the pit lane. He has gone down to see his crew. And again, that middle of the road run up to 7 is allowing D'Orlando to stay there, as is Miller. Miller's running pretty good here, P3.
He's hanging right in there and able to use that draft down the straightaways to stay in contact with the front two. It looks like they're a little bit better than he is through the squiggly bits, as an analyst of mine once called that section of the track, but able to use the draft to stay in touch.
Indeed, and especially when they kind of come down that straightaway, Alan, and they're not really in tow. It looks like, you know, D'Orlando's leaning a little bit more to the right side of the track. It's punching even a bigger hole in the air for Jack William Miller to close up. Now, the fight further back, as you can see that Grand Force of the number 92 exclusive Autosport Corpe machine pushing aggressively. Somebody's gone off. That may be Denmark.
No harm, no foul. Got it back on, though lost maybe 6-7 positions at that point in line.
That was Grand Force of the number 92. Grand Force, we talked about battling with Zendelli, finds himself all the way back into 10th, got pushed off in turn number 13, the exit of 13. He will not be pleased with that at all. Let's see if he can press the reset button and get back at it.
Got a car spun in the runoff inside turn 1. That 92 car broken right rear on top.
That's Grand Force there. So the driver potentially off in turn 1 could be the number 90 of Yuvan Sundaramurthy as well. Not quite sure. We'll see what happens when they come back around. So a couple of issues potentially with these exclusive Autosport drivers. We'll see what happens when they come back through. Looking at our map here in the PA booth, looks like potentially the 92 of Grand Force could be off as well. And again, as Alan had said, a potential broken wheel for Grand Force from the contact over in turn number 13. Otherwise, everybody's settling back in.
And there's an intensity to this, isn't there?
Good stuff. Not the frantic intensity that we saw in USF 2000 with the big lunges and drivers making some crazy moves. More just really aggressive action, guys like diving inside each other, but controlling the entry to each corner. Not overcooking, but getting in there deep. We've seen a lot of the drivers getting a little bit of brake lockup as well.
So the top 3 have spread just a little bit now as we put a couple of more laps in the books. It's Porto, D'Orlando, Miller, and still watching Miles Rose in 6th position now, and kind of stalled out there just for a minute after that big scramble. They've all settled back just into line.
I have a little bit of a belief potentially that D'Orlando may be looking at himself, say, listen, I have not had any good finishes yet. He's the guy that won the USF 2000 championship last year, got the scholarship to move up here, but he's just had zero luck. 18th and 11th at St. Petersburg, 16th and 11th at Sebring. He needs a result. And yeah, he may have the ability to go after Porto and make a pass for the race win, but P2 right now would be huge, especially if you're running in front of the point leader. Rowe's down in 6th position right now. Anything better than Rowe is going to close him up with the championship. He just needs some points right now. D'Orlando way back, and literally if he's able to get even a couple of points, he's going to find himself potentially into 12th or 13th. So I think for him, any result he can get here that's not a DNF would be the best thing for Michael D'Orlando.
The big scrap looks like it's kind of formed up back around 10th position, where a knot of about 4 or 5 cars are still all tightly bunched together. Everybody else in front of them, the top 9, have spread just a little bit, though it looks like challenge for 3rd and 4th, and maybe some raindrops beginning to fall as well.
Ooh, that would make things interesting, would it not? Yeah, we'll see whether or not we get some moisture here. We are looking.
Oh yeah, look out the window.
Oh, it's actually raining. I was looking down at the screen. It's indeed raining here right now. Yellow flags getting set up potentially up in the tower, and I think we may be going full course yellow. Indeed we are, full course yellow for rain on the racetrack now. So again, this will shake things up. Being told Grand Force out of this race, as was Jordan Missing, so 2 drivers out already. But indeed, yellow flag flying for rain on the course. We had a really solid start to the day. We were 10 laps in of 25?
Yeah.
We'll figure out what the call is now. They may just bring these cars in potentially and have to go to rains. That would be the call, I believe, by race control, but the yellow flags indeed come out at this point.
So refresh us on series rules for the USF Pro Championships, in particular for the Pro 2000 in wet conditions. Is it a race control call, everybody at the same time?
Indeed.
So the move to rains is a car-wide control. The race control says we are now going to rains. When we have rain to dry, different situation. You could then go to
to the dries if you want during a session. At this point here, if we obviously deemed it to be dangerous, we would bring all the drivers in and get them onto the wet tires. But at this point here, we haven't had enough rain. It would just chew some tires up. So we'll see what happens here. Drivers getting themselves down to pace car speed.
Fascinating
to watch. Yeah.
Fascinating. So twist of plot here, not just for this race, but looking ahead to qualifications for the NTT IndyCar Series 2 that are still to come. All of a sudden now 45 minutes away, and is it going to be a wet session, a dry session, a mix in between? And we know how much that can jumble things up for the race, for qualifications, for everything.
Indeed. How would that shake things up for qualifying for NTT IndyCar Series drivers? The great equalizer they call the rain. It could be very interesting. Again, for these drivers here, now coming into pace car speed. Let's have a look at the lineup right now as they run. 11 laps completed. Kiko Porto continues to lead. He's been able to hold off Michael D'Orlando. Many challenges from D'Orlando, but just not quite enough. Jack William Miller holding on to third spot. Francesco Pizzi in fourth, and Liram Zendelli in fifth. Miles Rowe runs in sixth. Jonathan Brown seventh. Reese Ushijima in eighth. Christian Weir ninth, and Ricardo Escoto in 10th. Jace Denmark, I believe he was one of the drivers who went off at one point. He's in 11th. Jackson Lee 12th. Salvador De Alba 13th. Lindsey Brewer in 14th. Nicholas Monteiro 15th. Bajoy Gargan 16th. Last drivers on the lead lap, Yuvan Sooner-Murthy and Charles Finelli. Issue there for Joel Grandforce. Great speed on the weekend. He finds himself 19th. And Jordan Missing in 20th. And again, everybody getting an opportunity to press the reset button, do it again tomorrow with race number 2. But the rain's significantly starting to fall here. We don't see any end in sight at this point, so the track's going to get wetter and wetter, and we'll find out what the race director's decision will be.
So, Rob, I want to tell you, I'm one of those racing types that I have like 8 weather apps on my phone, and you can't find a splotch of weather over this speedway at all on any of the weather apps. That's how thin this is right now. So it could stop at any minute, or it could dump a pile of water on us. And this, I mean, look, here's the radar right now. Right? Show me where the rain is that's over the speedway.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, again, right? It looks fine all around the racetrack. Yeah. Listen, we had a fantastic day so far with the sun that we did have. Obviously, rain this morning. We potentially were all, when we were coming in here to Indianapolis for the weekend, thought we were going to have rain, big-time rain both days. So, indeed, we'll see whether or not the rain does continue. But we are full course yellow. We're going to knock a couple of laps off here. Kiko Porto, I'm sure, will not be super worried about that at this point. But this track is most definitely getting wetter and wetter, and we may need to go to those Cooper rain tires. And that would change things as well. Which drivers have the ability to step up in the rain? This could be incredibly interesting to see. Remember one thing, his first ever win in this USF Pro Championships was in the wet at New Jersey. That's Miles Rowe. We know he knows how to get around in the wet weather, so if we do go to wet tires, that is going to change everything here for these drivers.
I was just going to ask the question because I remember an IndyCar Series driver in one of the press conferences yesterday being asked about if the weather is a problem this weekend like it was a year ago. And he said, I've been here, I forget how many years he said, and I've raced in the rain once.
Yeah. Listen, anytime we have drivers from the UK, they spend a lot of time running in the rain. I would say if we get some wet weather, Jonathan Brown from Turn 3 Motorsports has probably done more rain racing than probably anybody else on the grid right now. There's a driver who has won many Formula Ford races over there. He is ready for that. And indeed, red flag being shown by the starter here at start finish. So red flag, drivers will all work their way back into the pit lane. And now we'll be looking at the opportunity, I would expect, for the drivers to go to rain tires. So we'll try to get an update from race control and figure out exactly what the situation is there.
Instructions being given to the teams over the radio from race control right now for cars to return to their pit box. No work allowed yet on the cars. They're under red flag conditions once they get there, and await further word is basically the mode of the moment.
Well, when they do come across the line, that will put lap 13 in the books, meaning we've crossed the halfway point, if that's any consolation or any indication of what could happen. But, you know, obviously, if there's an opportunity for us to get the reins on, we will go racing for sure. Good note coming in here actually about wet weather testing at Road America. A number of the teams were at Road America on Monday. Very interested because they had just repaved it, and a lot of the guys, it was pretty chilly. A lot of guys told me that there was hardly any grip whatsoever. So it kind of it makes things a bit interesting when we go to Road America, because not many drivers got much rain time in at Road America. Some did, some were able to stay, but others just said it was just simply not enough grip on that brand new racing surface. So some drivers have a little bit of rain experience in the last few days, others have not. But again, once we do go racing, I think you're going to see, as I said, drivers like Jonathan Brown potentially moving his way forward, guys that have more opportunity to run in wet weather. You know, Joel Granforth potentially as well. I said we know how Miles Rowe is. I do know that both Kiko Porto and Michael D'Orlando relish running in the rain as well. So both those drivers up front, I don't see them struggling at all with the slicker conditions.
All right, well, for those of you here at the Speedway, again, we've looked at the radar. It doesn't really show a lot out there, and we still have NTT IndyCar Series qualifications to come this afternoon at the greatest race course in the world. So we'll take an interested view on all of this right along with you on this little twist of plot in the afternoon here. And at the moment, the USF Pro 2000 race is being put under the red flag as the pace car leads the cars down the pit lane toward their stalls after an unexpected rain shower has pelted the speedway in mid-race.
Caught me off guard when we said to look up to see the actual rain falling. If you are, of course, enjoying this USF Pro Championships and have not yet downloaded our mobile app, you can do that as well. You'll be able to have the opportunity to watch all of our races. My podcast is on there. Live timing's on there. The Climb, our mini documentary brought to you by Discount Tire, is on there as well. I did see one driver with a Scoto, I believe, with wing damage. His his wing was kind of tilted to the right a little bit, so I would think they'll go to work on it. Let's go back to our driver analyst here, who's already finished 8th in his first race of the weekend. Al Morey for J. Howard Driver Development, an Indianapolis, Indiana resident. What about you when it comes to wet weather racing? Let me preface with this. I know that like about a week ago, you won a go-kart race out at Newcastle Motorsports Park in what was almost snow and sleet, so we know you can get around in the wet. Have you driven a race car in the wet yet?
I did a lot of F4 last year in the wet. I had quite a bit of experience in the F4 car. Our last race in Dakota at the end of the year was in wet conditions. Actually, this morning was my first time in the USF car in the wet. It was about what I expected, a lot more horsepower than what I'm used to in the wet, but I generally tend to like the rain, so I would welcome it tomorrow.
It's a question I always ask, Alan, because there seems to be drivers that love it or they hate it. I personally love racing in the rain. You do. Some drivers just tolerate it. I think they just don't think it's just, I want to be at full speed. I want to be at full send. It's a much different approach to driving a car when you have hardly any grip.
So here's the word from race control at the moment. We'll get back to that in a moment. A 5-minute work period has started for the teams. They'll be counted down to the end of that 5-minute work period, and then they'll look to resume the race.
Okay.
And of course, we do have a time limit on the race also, right? Because of NTT IndyCar qualifications that are scheduled to come up later today.
Indeed, 50 minutes. But we have, we say 13 in, so just past the halfway point. You have a look at them going to work. I mentioned Ricardo Scoto. They're going to put a new front wing on that machine there. Just a little bit of a skew to the right side on that wing for a Scoto. There's Jay Howard, Al's team owner, the right side there. Again, a driver and a team owner we've seen here at this particular racetrack many times. A former winner in many levels as well of the ladder program over the years. Won the Cooper Tires Z-Tech F2000 championship back in the early 2000s. Was an Indy Lights, now Indy Next champion as well. And of course, as we know, a number of starts at the Indianapolis 500. A veteran driver for sure, and it's become a well-respected team owner as well.
And a relied upon person for many, working the path. Certainly Jay has the experience and the knowledge of what it takes to get there, because he did it.
That's exactly that. And obviously has a fantastic team. I got a chance to go check out his shop actually just north of Indianapolis outside the 465 on Tuesday. Fantastic shop. They were going to work. And indeed, here come those treaded Cooper tires. Not surprising. We're going to the wets, and this is going to make things very interesting. The tale of two chapters of this race. Obviously, the dry chapter at the start, a great run for Kiko Porto. Michael D'Orlando on full offensive. Kiko on the mild defensive run. There's Lindsay Brewer getting hers on as well. And now we just press the reset button and really kind of change the complexion of the race.
So coming down to 2 minutes left in the work period, and again, further instructions being given out from race control. It'll be a restart for everybody on the wet tires. Once the race resumes on the wet tires, once they the cars resume the race on the track, green flag on the track, then the decision goes to the race teams as to if or when to switch back to the slick tires. And again, keeping an eye on the clock as well. This is going to be a very compressed finish to this race.
And it doesn't look like it's raining anymore either. Because Alan, you had said this. You looked at all your apps or weather apps, and we didn't have any rain. So we've soaked the racetrack down. We're going to throw them out there on the treaded tires. And will we have a time within the next 12 laps where the dry line develops, and will somebody take an opportunity to come in? The delta is, I think, around 4 minutes to get your tires changed. You said they gave them 5, so probably 3.5. Then you have the out lap as well. So it could be very interesting thinking about the fact that the lap times at speed, right around where we turn like the what are they going to be, 140s, 150s potentially in the wet? I don't know. I'd love to see if somebody rolls the dice on it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So less than 2 minutes as you see the crews on the big screens scrambling around, trying to make the changes they need to make. Some attention on some of the wickers on the back of the rear wings, the rain tires going on, the marker lights coming on, and then how long will you need all of those changes before you go back onto slicks and undo them all?
Indeed. I'll tell you, it's just absolutely nuts right now for sure. Al, let's come to you. What do you do with the mindset change? These guys, they did the autograph session, you got a chance to go back to the paddock, they hung out a little bit, talked to the engineers. This is our plan. This is how we're going to approach it. This is what the car is going to feel like based on the changes we've made from qualifying. And then all of a sudden, it's back to wet weather again. How do you change your mindset?
Well, for us, I know that we had both conditions in mind coming into this, knowing that it's Indiana. It could rain at any time that it wants to. So I think that, at least for our team, we know we were prepared for both weather conditions. I'm sure the other teams have done the same thing and told their drivers, hey, there's a good chance of rain, so if we end up making those changes, this is what you're going to have to do to drive it. And I think that goes for everyone.
That's it. Exactly. Be prepared for everything you possibly can. Big thank you to all of our partners, of course, as part of this USF Pro Championships, including VP Racing Fuels, who are the exclusive fuel supplier for all 3 levels of the USF Pro Championships. In 2021, VP expanded their role and became the official lubricant and coolant. In addition to VP Racing engine oil and VP Racing gear oil, this includes VP Racing's new line of Stay Frosty performance engine coolants. A lot of great partners, Alan, to make this thing happen. Skip Barber, Discount Tire, Cooper Tires. We're just really we're blessed by having some fantastic, motorsports-oriented companies to be part of this action.
All right, the work period is declared complete. So they're going to start the engines and start to roll off the pit lane behind the pace car, get the running order reset, because obviously the pit box order isn't necessarily the running order of the race, and then get ready to try and resume this thing as quickly as possible.
Good look around the track and some people that are enjoying it. Obviously get themselves maybe in a covered area so they're not getting too wet. But otherwise, this is going to be interesting. These first couple of laps, I think, Alan, are going to be very intriguing because they're used to rolling down into whatever corner at this speed. They're going to have to adjust it. The braking, everything's going to have to be a bit different rolling in here. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch. You thought the initial start running down into turn 1 was going to be wild? This one should be very, very interesting for sure. And probably just enough moisture on the racetrack now to get that spray that we're going to have, right? Oh, yeah. It's going to be wild. It is, indeed. Again, great to see everybody out here for Friday action as a part of this weekend. Again, tomorrow we're going to heat things up. We'll be on track very early tomorrow morning as well. Our first race at 8 o'clock in the morning. We have 3 races before Indy next hits the track, and of course ahead of the GMR Grand Prix as well. We've got USF 2000 with a couple of races tomorrow. 1 race for the drivers in USF Pro to wrap up their doubleheader. So still a lot of ladder series action in the morning before Indy next and IndyCar hits the track. And it should be a phenomenal day here at the Speedway tomorrow. Hope you're planning on being here with us as we get the month of May cranked up to full speed. Hi there. Hope you're having a good time. I see you came prepared. I was just going to say, they brought the umbrellas. Well done. Well done. Very nice. Very nice. All right, so getting the field organized here to roll from the pit lane and resume this USF Pro 2000 race under now wet conditions and the twist of plot extending out to how will IndyCar qualifications be as well, and I just saw a couple of the IndyCar teams bring the rain tires out to their pit stall. I got to think they're watching this session pretty intently right now. There's no doubt about that. And like I said, the drivers up front here, the top 3 have been part of this program for many, many years. There they are. Hey, guys. I love it. Kiko Porto, Michael D'Orlando, and Jack William Miller. All three of those drivers have come up through the entire program. They've run USF 2000. This is, of course, D'Orlando's first year in the pro category, but Miller and Porto have been here before. This is very interesting. These guys they've driven these Cooper rain tires before. They've been probably on this racetrack in the rain before. So there is experience for the top three drivers. We'll see whether or not a driver like Jonathan Brown can step up as well.
All right, so you see the cars rolling. Getting the last few in order, 790 and 83. You see there the 90 of Sundaramurthy. He will be toward the back of the line. We remember we had had him have a problem, an off-course excursion earlier. All right, so back to full course yellow. The red flag is withdrawn. We're back under yellow, and the cars begin to roll onto the speedway and get ready for a restart now. They will get the restart the first time by, and after that, it's up to the team when to change off the rain tires onto the slicks, and of course, the interesting run down to turn one still to come.
Alan, I look up at Aaron Likens in the starter stand as well, and those flags are whistling. The wind is up.
Yeah.
This track is going to dry pretty quickly, I think. I honestly believe we're going to see a couple of pit stops. I don't know that anybody's going to try to run to the end on these tires. As you know, when you have rains and it does start to dry off, those tires are going to start to degrade. They eventually become slicks almost on their own, but they are such a softer compound than the race tire itself. That's what gives it the grip, of course, the tread and the design, able to dissipate the water and give you that grip you need, but there's just not a lot of surface area, right? And you'll burn those tires up pretty quickly. And again, like I said, fast laps around a minute and a half, kind of the quick times we've had, 27s, 28s, back it down to maybe a 35 or a 40 in the wet.
Yeah.
3 minutes. You might lose a couple of laps, but are you going to be another 20 seconds faster with these guys when the tires start going off? I think I wouldn't want to be an engineer. I like where we are right now. We always look like experts up here because I think it'll be interesting once we see it all happen.
There you go. Tattoos.
The wing and wheel. I love it.
They're matching tattoos?
I think
How about
that? That's awesome.
Gotta love it. All right, so confirmation from race control. We are coming to the green, and this is now a timed race.
Indeed. Okay.
With a little over 21 and a half minutes on the clock and ticking. So getting ready for the restart as the pace car leads the field now down to turn number 11. And what will the run to turn one be like for these drivers?
As Alan had said, got to put that first lap in the books with these rains. I would not be surprised to potentially see someone roll in here pretty early and try to put the dries on, especially if you're at the back. If you're battling at the back right now, why not roll the dice? Why not come in and put the tires on and see if you can go out there and absolutely roll them? I just do not think that this the wet weather is going to be around that much, or rather the wet track. With the wind that we have right now, the temperature that was already in the track, 94 degrees track temperature, that's going to burn off that because we did have a lot of sun, Alan. It was beaten down pretty good, so the track pretty warm right now. Very likely you're going to see it dry up pretty quickly. But we are now underway. Green flag flying, and we're back at it. Timed race, and Alan had said just over 11 minutes or under 11 minutes remaining. Michael D'Orlando watch for him to potentially attack as we are back to green flag racing. USF Pro 2000, the first of two races, back underway.
Here's the braking zone to turn number one.
Porto did a good job. Porto did a good job holding them off. Indeed, they're battling up pretty good here. Rowe's got a couple drivers behind him. He's got Jonathan Brown right there. I think Rowe may have got by Ushijima, potentially, or Zendelli, rather. We'll see whether or not he's up a spot. But Porto able to defend on the opening run down into turn number one. How about turn 12? I would bet we'll see a middle run like we have before. No, he actually runs the entire race line clean down into the corner. 3 wide further back.
Boy, that was close.
Indeed, I think that's Zendelli trying to find a way back by Rowe. Rowe gets Zendelli because I believe that might be Pizzi who's up the road in P4.
Big wiggle there.
Brown to the inside of Zendelli as well.
All right, now they're getting ready to come to the final couple of corners before the pit lane entry. What's going to happen there with some of these leaders?
You can see how dry it is there. How long are they going to want to run these tires? The quicker you go to the dries, the more time you're going to be able to pick back up, right? If you're 5, 6, 7 seconds more, the faster you go, we'll see. No one into pit lane as of yet. They may have got that first lap in the books, I think. So as they come back around, this will be lap number one. We'll see if we have anybody potentially thinking about going in. Here's a move to the inside, coming down into one, folks. D'Orlando has been able to sneak to the inside. We may have a battle for the lead. D'Orlando to the bottom. Does he hold the spot? Yes, he does. New leader, no. Look at Porto running around the outside. They're going to fight through turn 2 and 3. Alan, this is an opportunity for D'Orlando to potentially pull it out. And look who's coming in. Jack William Miller's going to throw it in there. Miller wants it so bad. Side by side again, and Miller's gone into P2. Jack William Miller's gone to second, forcing the issue. Over in 5 and 6, but the new leader is now Michael D'Orlando.
He got it done. It looked to me like he might have been, when he got the initial move to the inside, a little too cautious and gave Porto the opportunity to have a look back. But then as they sorted it out, it's changed hands.
So now when we come back around, does anybody roll the dice and come into pit lane? You're potentially going to lose a lap and a bit. That's the problem. There's only about 9 minutes remaining. I don't think that you'd have enough time to come back. It's not like it happened early and you have a full race distance to be able to close back up. I just don't think you're going to be able to make up 2-3 minutes worth of time. It's just not that much of a difference. We will look at lap times when they come back around to have a look, but we'll see whether or not. I just can't see anybody rolling the dice unless you're at the very tail of the field.
Got most of the pack has gone by the pit entry and stayed on the speedway and on the rain tires. So here they come back to the yard of bricks again. And it is Michael D'Orlando, the 21-year-old from New York, who is out in front this time as they hit the braking zone for turn number 1.
Bajoy Guard down to pit lane. I wonder if they're going to roll the dice on Bajoy Guard, who's all the way at the tail of the field. But again, the fight coming into turn 1, you can see them 2, 3 wide deeper in the field. Guard bringing the number 7 in. The D-Force Racing driver coming in. Is there any damage? No, they may be just going to dries. We'll see the difference when they come back around. Jack William Miller looking to get his first win in USF Pro Championship competition. A number of years in USF 2000, second year up here in the USF Pro 2000 category as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see him make the move to Indy next in 2024. There's that fight a little bit further back. You can see between, I believe, Escoto and Zendelli. That is for 6th and 7. Escoto in the J. Howard Driver Development number 4 and Zendelli in the TJ Speed number 10. And then behind them, a good battle as well between Christian Weir, Miles Rose falling back to 9th, and then Salvador de Alba now up into the top 10.
Rowe got shoved around a little bit in some of that back and forth sliding, getting pushed off onto the wet line, and has gotten pushed down to the back end of the top 10. The teams have just all been given the instruction from race control on the exact time the checkered flag will wave in this race. So it is a timed race, and we're running down toward the end of it. 3:44 and change will be when the checkered flag is going to wave over this race.
All right, so they know exactly how much time, but not sure whether or not. Yeah, I think here comes Bajoy Guard back up potentially onto the track now, so a full lap behind. Oh, big lock up there for Escoto, and luckily able to bring it back around. That was very close for Escoto, potentially losing it in turn number 1. Had it all locked up.
So you see the dry line beginning to develop, but these guys out there on the wet tires, at some point, you got to get offline and start to hunt a little moisture, don't you?
Indeed that. Yeah, they're going to start to fall apart here. And again, how much time do we have left in this race? Maybe 6.5 minutes? Not even that. Less than 6.5 minutes. We're timing up to almost 5 minutes. There, yeah, so we have 7:25 up there. So yeah, this thing's like winding down quickly. We'll see what kind of a lap time we get out of the Joy Garga. That's Jack William Miller at turn number 10. Book it. Indeed, Alan, he has taken the lead.
Had a little wiggle from D'Orlando coming through turns 7 and 8, and that was the opening that Jack William Miller needed. And the local product is out in front, now challenged back as they come to turn 12.
D'Orlando throws it back into the inside at turn number 12. He'll be able to get the thing to rotate potentially in turn number 13 to get back out front. What a scrap right now we have. The two leaders, I think that D'Orlando has gone back again to P2, so indeed Miller able to over-under him into the corner. D'Orlando's coming on him strong here.
Side by side for the race lead as they head down to turn 1. 3 wide for third place as they head to turn 1.
D'Orlando's taking the lead back once again. Big lunge down the inside here for Jack William Miller. Not able to get it done, and D'Orlando will get out there with the lead. So he moved D'Orlando back to P1. Miller into second. Good shot there in the battle coming through the corners. And they are literally 2 wide for about 4 rows coming into turn 1 deeper into the field. This is tremendous racing for the drivers at the top rung of this USF Pro Championship. Jack William Miller flirting with the opportunity to potentially get that first race win, but all this racing, Alan, is bringing Kiko Porto back into it.
6 minutes left in the race as they head for turn number 7. And D'Orlando gets a car length or two that time on Jack William Miller, but this is the part of the last lap where he had trouble, the leader did, and allowed Miller to get alongside.
Let's add a little bit of shake-up here to this. D'Orlando potentially getting a race win, his first race win in the category. Miller trying to battle it out. Look who's in pit lane. Miles Rowe, the point leader. In pit lane, an issue with Rowe. Into pit lane, he dropped 4 spots a couple of laps ago, so potentially some kind of a mechanical for the point leader who had a 42-point lead over Kiko Porto coming in. This is going to tighten everything right back up. Those 3 straight wins for Rowe. Looked like he was in a great spot. He needed a good weekend here to keep it moving, and the momentum is gone, and here comes a battle from further back as well.
This is for second place.
And that is actually the number 4 of Escoto, who has got himself up into second. What a drive for Escoto. Miller back into third. Look at the big challenge on the outside. Here comes Jonathan Brown in the number 2. Move him into third. So from P1 to P4 for Miller. Looking at a race win, and now potentially not even a top 4 or top 5, as here comes Ushijima. The Jay Howard driver development cars. Allen coming to life at the tail end of this one.
3 wide here for third. Somebody slowing down.
That's Brown. Brown dropped the wheel, did not get into the chicane there cleanly. He lost a bunch of room, so Brown's got to gather it back up.
I'm told to take a look at the front wing of Jack William Miller, that there might have been some contact there that might have damaged the wing on that red number 40 machine. And that would be the reason he's backsliding.
Yeah, now there are corners here where you really rely on the front grip. Al Morey, let's bring you back in. Talk about a little bit about how crucial it is, that front wing and the grip you need in some of the longer duration corners here.
Especially with these Indy Pro cars, you know, they make a lot more front downforce than we do, and if you have broken front wing, you're now missing all that downforce. Yeah. And your horsepower then, that these cars we've talked about have a lot more of, you need that downforce in the front, so not having that would be huge. It is for us, and I can't imagine what it would be like in an Indy, or a USF Pro.
Right, just added up another level, right? That's the whole thing. It's even more. So, Alan, there's the issue there. If indeed it is a front wing damage for... Yeah, you can see it right there. It looks like the left post has dropped off a bit. Damage there, probably in the contact, battling it out with Michael D'Orlando. So Miller moving in the other direction right now. But we may have a battle for the race win again. Look at this, Kiko Porto. Oh, Escota. That's Escota who was in second. He's gone to the lead. Ricardo Escoto into the lead. He's 18th in points. His best finish so far this year, a 10th at Sebring. He's looking at a race win here at Indianapolis.
And a fight for third place shaping up there also. Third and fourth as Miller drops back to 5th position with the damage to the front of that machine.
The Jay Howard cars, as I said, coming to life. Escoto now your leader. Ushijima running in third. Should we be surprised, Alan? No, because last year it was Salvador de Alba that won with Jay Howard's team here. They have good cars here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course, and they are showing it here in difficult conditions. Again, remember, these guys are on reins as well. Yeah. That's kind of the interesting situation here. These tires are not going to hold up very well. And here's the battle further back as well as Ushijima going after D'Orlando.
This is for second place now as the leader breaks into turn 12 and turn 13. Under 2.5 minutes to go in this time race. So what, 2 laps maybe to the checkered flag?
I think so. And you think about Michael D'Orlando right now. Comes in here all the way back in 17th in points. The driver in front of him right now is Escoto. He's behind him, 6 points behind him. So he's not really worried about Escoto. He needs to remember that Miles Rowe all the way down in 18th. Miles has got back onto the racetrack but had some kind of an issue into 18th for Miles Rowe. This is the opportunity for him to come back to the forefront here.
Side by side into turn number 1 as they continue to fight for that top spot.
I believe the leader closing up on Jordan Missig right now. That's Missig coming through. He's a lap back. And then there's your leader, Escoto, which is unbelievable for Ricardo to be able to work his way up here right now.
White flag when they get back to the yard of bricks. It'll be white flag when the leaders get back.
I love the fact that we're getting all these fantastic stats coming in here from the boys here. 12th was where the winner started in USF 2000, and that was, of course, Sam Corey. Guess where Escoto started in the race? 12th. So not a bad starting spot for both of those drivers.
And you'd never figure that, right?
No.
Okay, in a race like this, with this level of competition that you're going to advance from 12th to the win?
And there, I believe, maybe the pass for second spot. I think Ushijima making the move to the inside over in turn number 10. So indeed, Ushijima has worked his way to second. The Jay Howard cars running first and second right now. And D'Orlando, although pushing, is getting chased in here as well by Jonathan Brown and Jack William Miller. They're still not done, as they've come back into the fight to a certain extent, a little further back there. So white flag will fly this time by, I believe, as you said, Alan.
Should be the last lap for the race leaders right here, and yes, it is. Atop the starter stand, the white flag waves. 1 lap to go in this race.
And again, the battle here is actually the 20 of Jace Denmark. A lap car is in the way a little bit for Ushijima. He was P11 on the restart. Ushijima up 9 spots. So whatever they did to those cars during that 5-minute work period has made them come to life. Great job for the engineers and the team at Jay Howard Driver Development. They currently run 1-2 with Ricardo Escoto and Reese Ushijima 1-2. Yeah, that's Al Morey's team over here. He's beaming as like a proud teammate. D'Orlando still third, Miller fourth, Brown fifth. Final lap. Alan, it's been a wild one. We had a red flag midway through for some wet weather. We're on rain tires on a dry racetrack. Nothing but excitement for the USF Pro Championships here today.
Down to turn number 7 goes the race leader. Begins to work his way through 8, now 9. The 18-year-old from Mexico City, Mexico. In his first year running this series, he only has 1 top 10 finish. A 10th place finish, and now he's about to win at Indianapolis.
His teammate Reese Ushijima closing up on him as well to try to make it a 2-driver battle, but indeed Ricardo Escoto, the young Mexican, is running very well up front. This is going to be, again, we talked about it, a 1-2 unless they battle each other to the end here. But watch them to come out of the final couple of corners. Jay Howard Driver Development is going to get a 1-2 finish as they come out of the final corner. Here he comes down the straightaway. Ricardo Escoto is going to win in that number 4 machine. Kiko Porto potentially up into second. We'll have to wait to see what happens as they come back across the line. I was saying Ushijima, where's Porto? I thought that was Porto that potentially came across the line there. It might have been Garg. That was Bajoy Garg lap because he was able to get back up in the dry tires. Yeah. He was able to close back up. So the D-Force car was not indeed Porto. He actually falls back to 7th. So much action over the last couple of laps. What happened? Escoto wins by 4 seconds over Ushijima. Michael D'Orlando, a much-needed podium finish, Alan. He needed a top 3. A great job for him to finish 3rd. Jonathan Brown ends up in 4th. Jack William Miller, up and down day for him. He ends up P5. De Alba in 6th. But Kiko Porto, who was leading and then battling for 3rd, ends up all the way back in 7th. This is huge for Michael D'Orlando. And I think even bigger in terms of the championship is the fact that Rowe finished all the way back in 18th. But some good runs as well. Even Sundar Amurthy at the end of that one, able to work his way back forward. Remember, he was last when we went to the went back to green. He ends up coming back to 9th. So a good run for Yuvan Sundar Amurthy.
Well, a hard-fought victory for sure.
Oh, goodness.
This afternoon, I mean, a little bit of everything thrown at these drivers and these young drivers, and yet on aging, rain-tired.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Your SUV is a multi-purpose tool, like a corkscrew fish scaler. And that means your tires should be multi-purpose too. Like these Cooper rugged Treks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper! It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper Enduro Maxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. It's your Uncle Cooper. If you and your truck are constantly tackling the regular duties of the day, go with a tire that can handle them all. Oh, man. Your SUV is a multi-purpose tool, like a corkscrew fish scaler. And that means your tires should be multi-purpose too. Like these Cooper rugged Treks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper! It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper Enduro Maxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper.